Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Sidebar for Experience. I'm Heath with support. This is the third one we're going to do. Today we're going to work on package handling. So I'm just going to kind of go over a few things on proper package handling and how to deal with that. And then I'm also going to review some stuff at the end of this just to kind of recap on things that are going on at We Deliver that you guys need to know about. So let's get started. So I just kind of want to go over each individual thing of certain types of specialty items that you have to have special care with. First, I want to go over with cupcakes. Um, when handling cupcakes, make sure not to stack the boxes more than 2 boxes because they do get very top heavy and can squash down the bottom boxes on the icing on top of the cupcakes, and you don't want to do that because that makes them not presentable to the customer, and the merchants want to make sure that the cupcakes leave their store and arrive at the location exactly as they're made. Make sure when you're carrying any cupcakes or cakes or anything that's fragile like that to carry them with both hands like this, not like this, because you could easily run into somebody, knock them out of your hands, run into a window, door, whatever, especially going through a revolving door. Make sure you have a good, secure, firm feel of them. Make sure they're level as to not tilt anything. On cupcakes, icing is really fresh, and when they tilt, they can easily shift the icing off the top of the cupcakes. Make sure when they're in your vehicle that they are stable, level, don't move around. Use some type of stabilizing mechanisms or a box or something like that to keep them stable. Sometimes you can wrap your seatbelt around them and then seatbelt it in. That's a good method to do as well. So just make sure they're as level as possible. So that nothing happens to the cupcakes. Also make sure they're not in direct sunlight when you're driving, and especially since summertime months are hopefully coming soon, the icing can melt really easily if it's hot in your car. So make sure your AC is working up to par, and also make sure your vehicle is nice and cool when transporting cupcakes, especially any other kinds of food like that. Make sure that you don't put them in the floor next to a heater or anything like that during the winter months because it can easily melt the icing as well. Cakes, don't make sure not to stack cake boxes unless instructed to by the merchant. Some sheet cakes are stackable. Always ask the merchant if in doubt if they're stackable or not, because some of these boxes are pretty frail and fragile and can smash. So um, also same thing, make sure they're stable and don't shift and transport. A lot of cakes are just resting in the box, so they can easily move side to side if you drive erratically or brake hard or anything like that. Just make sure they're on a flat surface in your vehicle, cool, dry place, just like cupcakes or any other kind of food item, just to make sure the icing doesn't melt or shift during transportation. Of course, if you ever have a damage or anything like that, let us know as soon as possible so we can get that taken care of with the merchant and the customer. Same thing, carry them both hands, not one hand. Make multiple trips if you have to. Remember that we will pay you extra if it takes a long time to transport something or to go back and forth to pick something up or to deliver it. Food in general, needs to be kept upright and stable as much as possible, especially carrying drinks. It's good to put them in your cup holder so they don't shift around, stuff like that. Um, Warm food, of course, needs to stay warm as possible. Cold feed needs to stay cold. Um, Same thing, car climate. Try to keep it not too cold or anything like that in the summer months so the food doesn't cool down too fast. Just some comfortable temperature. Um, Same thing in the winter, make sure your car is nice and warm on the inside for food. Anytime you're transferring any kind of cold food or drinks or anything like that, make sure to keep them out of sunlight and a good temperature controlled environment. It's best not to put food or anything like that in your trunk because your trunk is not going to be climate controlled with the rest of your vehicle unless you are driving an SUV. We do have warming bags as we're starting to get merchants that require that like pizza places and stuff like that. You will need a warming bag. If you have your own warming bag, please let us know so we can put you on the list of enabled drivers for that. If you don't have one, we do have them up here at the office. They're $10 deposit to get one. It's good to come and get one so that way those deliveries will queue to your phone, because if you're not in your system with a warming bag, you will never get those deliveries queued to your phone. With floral, make sure they're not in direct heat. Flowers are very fragile in temperature and sunlight. Too much heat will make them wither very quickly. This can happen within very few minutes from transporting from pickup to drop off, especially very fragile flowers. It's great to have blast the AC with floral, not directly on them, of course, but you want your internal temperature of your vehicle to be nice and cool. It's good to keep a box and a towel in your car because sometimes they're top heavy. You can put the flowers down in the box and wrap it with a towel. So most of these vases are going to be filled to the top with water. So that way, if the water sloshes around and spills out, it won't get your seats or floor all wet. Same thing as, you put flowers if they'll fit without bunching up floor arrangements in the floor. It's good to do that. So if they do slosh water around, it's better to get your floor wet than your seats. But yeah, just cheap towel. Doesn't have to be fun and fancy. Just something that does the trick. So it's good to keep something like that. And above all, heat avoided at all costs. And always ask for merchants for special instructions, as some floral arrangements do require special handling. Now for clothing. Always make sure clothing, especially hung up clothes like in a garment bag, suits, shirts. We do a lot of trunk club deliveries, high-end clothing. Make sure if you can hang them on a hook in your car, most of you have hooks back on the handles, on the side windows, hang them on the hooks, or make sure they're lay flat across the back seat or in your cargo area, any place that's nice and clean, as to not get the garment bags or clothing dirty. Even though the garment bags are there to protect the clothing, we don't want the garment bags showing up dirty or wrinkled or anything like that. So just make sure that clothing is laid out nice and flat and not to get wrinkled. So just take extra care as to not drop garment bags or any other clothing on the ground. Same thing as most of these clothing and bags are going to be to keep the clothes from getting dirty. If you were to drop a shopping bag of clothes in the water, it is, of course, going to seep into the bag and damage the clothing. So just, at all costs, take care and everything like that. Okay. And above all, avoid unnatural smells in your car, especially smoking. Do not smoke in your car ever, not while on shift, while not on shift. Cigarette smoke lingers in your car. Food, especially bakery items, at most popular cupcakes, absorb odors that are around them. Make sure you don't smoke in your car. If we receive a complaint on smoking in your car or smell of smoke of any of the items you deliver, you will be deactivated immediately, and we will have to review and inspect your vehicle before you can get back on the road. So make sure not to smoke or let anybody smoke in your car at any time. And also try to avoid the air fresheners that are like really strong and scent, because cupcakes can absorb those as well. Same with clothing or floral or anything like that that's porous can easily absorb any smell that's in your vehicle for more than a couple minutes. So do that. Remember, driving in Chicago can get hectic. Cab can just come out of nowhere and cut you off, and you have to slam on your brakes. So that's why we want to emphasize, stabilize your merchandise at all times. If you don't have anything to stabilize your merchandise, I suggest buying a file crate from Office Depot or something like that. You can get them for, pretty cheap from, Target, Office Depot, some type of office place like that. And then also there's this really cool thing I like to use. Let me pull it up here. It is this right here. It's made from WeatherTech. It is called the WeatherTech Cargo Tech Containment System. They are little blocks that will hold your cargo in line, and it's kind of sticky rubbery on the bottom to keep things from shifting around. I recommend buying those. You can get those at weathertech.com for about $35. I use them a lot for just about everything, from boxes to cakes to floral, cupcakes, anything like that. Definitely worth an investment. So try that out. So I also recommend getting floor liners, all-weather floor mats, cargo liners, trunk liners. WeatherTech has all those stuff. They're kind of pricey, but they're well worth the money and will not only protect your car, but also keep stuff stable because it kind of has that sticky texture to it. So give that a look. Also, make sure you keep a towel in your car for any kind of cleanup, and it also helps stabilize things as well. Or a blanket works well also. Also, I just want to touch up on when you guys are taking photos in your app to make sure to take photos that are a nice view of everything so we can see the count on anything. Not only are we wanting photos so we can see what you're picking up, but also we need to be able to count how many packages you have, as more than so many packages gets an adjustment, typically 4. However, some merchants, there are exceptions. With in doubt, always text support on any questions about that if something deems an adjustment or not. Here's some examples of photos that I'd like to show you. So there's the WeatherTech thing. This is a bad photo. I can't count how many totes are in that picture. It's very hard for me to see what that is. So make sure you step back, take a nice clear picture of everything, so that way we can count the items, we can see exactly what you have, so on and so forth. Remember, you can always take multiple pictures in the app on pickup and drop off now. So make sure to do that. Also, those of you that have done some of the catering deliveries or deliveries with tips on them, some of our merchants are tip enabled, and you have to take a picture of the receipt. Make sure it is legible. This one is not legible on purpose because it has information on it. Make sure we can read the tip, and always take this photo on your drop-off photos. If for some reason something comes up and you can't do that, please email it to support and notify the support team immediately so we can adjust that and get a copy of that receipt to the merchant. Also remember, if there is no tip line on the receipt, we cannot add a tip on it, so you would have to receive cash or use your Square Reader. If you haven't used a Square Reader before and don't have one, I recommend going to square.com and getting one of those. They're free. They only charge a small percentage per transaction to do that. So that should about conclude everything for this week's Sidebar for Experience. So thank you all for coming. This is the first live broadcast, so hopefully if everything is going well, you'll be able to go back and view this, and you can always send questions in to the text line or support. Feel free to add me on your Google+. It's sidebarforexperience@gmail.com. So you can get updates on upcoming Sidebar for Experience, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel, which this should be featured on starting this evening. So that's about it. You guys have a good evening. Have a good night. Bye.